Hey guys, this is your Miss Samara. So here comes my first video. Alright, so this background might look a little familiar because I'm still in my classroom. So anyways, so here comes our first lesson on this video. So I have 3-5. This is on page number 320. And we're going to be learning about solving exponential equations. Solving exponential equations. How do we do this? So here's the idea. As long as you know how to switch back and forth like exponential to log and log to exponential, that's all you needed to know. So if you start off with exponential equation and you switch it to log, that's how we solve exponential. But if you start off with log and switch it to exponential, that's how we solve log equation. But today's lesson is totally focused on solving exponential functions. How do we do it? Here's the first example. Let's say I have 2 times x minus 3 plus 5 and it's equal to 10. So first step, you need to isolate the exponential part, which is this piece in this equation. So in order to isolate, I would take away 5, then I would divide by 2, so this becomes x minus 3 equals to this. Now this is exponential by itself, switch it to ln. This is ln, swap. It's 5 over 2 and it's equal to x minus 3. So ln of 2.5 is equal to 0.91. It's equal to x minus 3 and add 3 at the end. So my final answer is 3.91. Here you go. So this was my first example. So if you feel like you don't understand any of the step, you can go back and look at that step. So let's move on to second example. Next example I have is 20 times 1 over 2 x over 3 and it's equal to 5. Again, idea is still the same. You have to isolate the exponential piece, which is this in this equation. So I would divide by 20 first. This becomes 1/2 x over 3 and it's equal to 1/4. Switch. It's log, it's not ln because it's different than base e. So bring down the base, which is 1/2, and swap. 1/4 and it's equal to x over 3. Log of 1/4 to base of 1/2 is equal to 2. It's equal to x over 3, cross product, and my answer is 6. Here you go. So this was my second example. Again, any step you don't understand, pause this and go back and check. Alright, so let's move on to next example. And you know, if I'm a little fast, again, you can just go back and look at those steps. So next example is, I have e to the 2x plus 5e to the x plus 6 and it's equal to 0. So this is slightly different. Why? Because it's hard to isolate e function. So what I could do is, I need to look at a pattern. This pattern is called quadratic pattern. Now, the reason it's called quadratic pattern because there's first term as square term. This is just e term or x term, and this is just a constant at the end. So this is similar to a quadratic pattern. So what you have to do is you need to take this e part and set it equal to a different variable. I'm just going to set it equal to y. So now let's replace this e with y. So e to the 2x would be y to the 2. 5e to the x would be 5y plus 6. Now the reason I do this, because now it looks like simple quadratic function. I could factor it out or I could use quadratic formula. So this is the one I could do x factoring on. So I have 6 and 5, 2 numbers, 3 and 2. So I would have 2 factors, y plus 3 and y plus 2. In order to, first you need to bring back the original variable. So you know y is equal to e to the x, so I would bring back e to the x. So I have e to the x plus 3 for the first factor, plus 2 for the second one. Now in order to solve, set each one equal to 0 and solve. So e to the x plus 3 is equal to 0, e to the x plus 2 is equal to 0. So you know each individual one is exponential. So how do we solve exponential? You need to isolate and switch. This becomes e to the x is equal to -3. Switch. ln is equal to, ln of -3 is equal to -x. My bad. This is x. This is e to the x is equal to -2. Switch. ln of -2 is equal to x. Oh, both ln with the negative number, which is not possible. So it means there would be no solution of this problem. This was my third example, and we just have one more. Here comes the last one. I hope you remember. So this is the one we did it on Friday. It was actually towards the end. So here's the example. I have e to the x minus e to the negative x over 3, and it's equal to 4. All right, first thing, let's just cross product. So cross product, it would be e to the x, e to the negative x, and it's equal to 12. You cannot cancel these one out because these are not like terms, because one e has negative x, other one with positive x. These are not like terms. But what I could do is, just to simplify, I could just rewrite this as 1 over ex. Let's combine these fractions by taking LCD. So let's put this one over 1. LCD is e to the x. Now this one I would multiply by e to the x top and bottom. So you know, if I multiply e to the x by another e to the x, we do not multiply the bases. Instead, we just add the exponent. So this becomes e to the 2x. E to the 2x minus 1 equals to 12. Cross product again, it's e to the 2x minus 1, and it's equal to 12 times e to the x. Let's get everything on the same side. I have e to the 2x minus 12, e to the x minus 1, and it's equal to 0. Next, I know this is a quadratic function here, quadratic pattern. You can do x factoring or quadratic formula. But I know x factoring would not work, so I have to use quadratic formula. I hope you remember. It's negative boy, wasn't sure to go on a radical party. So since b was square, missed out on 4 awesome chicks, and party wasn't over until 2 a.m. So let's plug everything in. So negative b, which is plus and minus b squared, which is 12 squared, going to be 144 minus 4 times 1 times -1 becomes positive 4 here. So, and this 2 times 1, so it becomes 12 plus and minus 148 and over 2, almost there. So square root of 148 is 12.16. Oh, I need to erase a part of this. How about if I erase this whole part, because I need more room. So back to this. So I have 12 plus and minus 12.16 over 2. So I'll be getting 2 answers. So both going to be equal to e to the x. So e to the x, let me add 12, divide by 2. So my first number would be 12.08. Second one would be 12 minus 12.16, divide by 2, and I have -0.08. So both, each individual one is exponential. Let's simplify. So this one would be ln of 12.08 equals to x. That would be my first answer. Ln of 12.08, I have 2.49. That's my first answer. This one, if I switch it to ln, it's going to be a negative numbers, which is not right. So that would be undefined. So I have these 2 solutions. So only solution would be 2.49. Other one is just undefined. And this is all for today, so have fun, enjoy your worksheet, your assignment. All right.